Schwalbe's Rocket Ron has got it going on. You want a tyre that's fast and grippy when conditions are getting slippy. Schwalbe's Rocket Ron is probably the one. Right, that's more than enough MILF-based pop-punk nonsense. Let's talk about why I think Schwalbe's Rocket Ron is the best fast trail stroke XC tyre that you can use in the UK in conditions like we're getting right now and further on through winter. Why you might not like it, and why I also think it could be better if they changed the range of options a bit, even though it is a huge range of options. And then you can get busy in the comments to tell me what you think of this tyre and whether you agree with me. So this review kind of wraps up my trio of videos on the Schwalbe Super Race tyres that I've been using for the best part of 2 years now. And Rocket Ron, as you can see from the more open, slightly squarer tread, is their more aggressive, wet, sort of sloppy, loose conditions tyre compared to the more recent Racing Ray. Rocket Ron's actually been around for ages. It's kind of always the front option for Racing Ralph. But, you know, there's been a bit of a marital dispute, and now Racing Ralph has kind of run off with Racing Ray, as the names would suggest, and Rocket Ron's feeling a bit lonely, not least because Rocket Ron is sadly only available in this black sidewall, although, judging from pics from the pits at Mont St Anne, there is a transparent, whatever Schwalbe call it, brown wall sidewall, so it's doing that kind of post-divorce thing where it has a bit of a zhuzh up and, you know, goes out mixing with other people with a nice new fresh tan. Dear God, this has gone off-piste remarkably quickly. But what do you need to know? Super Race carcass, if you watch the other Schwalbe videos, you will know that's based on their road bike technology. Bugger all protection in it, just a very thin anti-puncture layer underneath the centre of the tread and a bit of reinforcement on the bead. But somehow that gives this amazing sort of trail tai chi ability to just kind of dodge all the bullets that the trail is throwing at it. So even though it's a tyre that theoretically doesn't have much protection and, you know, if Finnish people stab it with spikes, it doesn't come out that well, it's actually a really, really tough puncture-proof tyre on the trail. As you can see, this one's been on the back of my bike running with a cush core, and it's started to get a bit of carcass degradation there, where basically it's such a supple carcass, if it folds over the cush core, it breaks out. You can see there's a few threads coming through there. Still not leaking though, still holding air really, really well. And for haters of the old Schwalbe, even though you're getting some wear on these knobs now, there's no rips, there's no tears, it's all staying nice and together. So, Super Race carcass, there is a Super Ground carcass as well, which interestingly, even though it has more reinforcement, it's a tougher tyre in general, is actually lighter according to Schwalbe's figures. But then Schwalbe say this tyre weighs 780 grams, and I actually clocked it in at 750. So either I'm at the bottom of the range and they're at the top of the range, but there's something slightly off about their weights. While they're talking about dimensions, this is 29.235. It blows up pretty close to that, to be honest, probably 2.3, just under, but it's certainly not as devastating off the mark as something like a Maxxis Forecaster. And that springs to mind, that tyre, because I think this tyre really sits where the old Maxxis Forecaster sat, as a really good all-round winter tyre for people who didn't want something heavy, want something a bit grippier and a bit tougher than a standard winter tyre. So 750 grams for that, whereas once you start going to Nobby Nick and Wicked Will, which I am testing at the moment, reviews are incoming on those, you're going up to 900 grams. And again, that's the same that's happened with the Maxxis Forecaster as well. And although I will review it, the less said about the Maxxis Severe, which is theoretically the opposing tyre in the Maxxis range to this one, the better, because I really don't rate that tyre at all. Where have we got to in talking about the tyre? Yeah, it's siped tread. I mean, you can look at it. That's what the tread looks like. You know how that's likely to work, and it really does. But the real take-home here is how supple, compliant, and traction boosting that Super Race carcass is, and also because it flows over sort of roots, rocks, stones so well. It's a really, really quick, lively, it's just a lovely feeling tyre. It just makes your bike feel better. It's not skittery, it's not slithery like a lot of harder compound winter race tyres are. It still stays pretty well hooked up. even in this Addict Speed compound. Which gets me to my slight beef about it. I mean, I've used hate in the start just to on the Instagram clip, and I'm kind of regretting that because I hate this whole sort of rage baiting thing. It's a bad habit from writing for websites. But back on track. Let's try and get back on track, because this is a tyre that likes to stay on track. That's the whole point of it. You can only get this Super Race carcass with the Addict Speed compound. And by preference, I'd have Addict Speed grip, slightly softer, slightly tackier, which means more traction, and that would kind of seemingly go hand to hand with a tyre that's designed to be grippier in slightly wet conditions, because it isn't as fast as a racing rate, it doesn't roll as fast, but you're getting much more bite, particularly once you get over to the shoulders, and also gripping and under power. So I think it would work better if you could get Super Race with Addict Speed grip as an option as well. And to be fair, I'd really like there to be a super trail option, the properly heavy trail carcass. Well, not heavy, but a sort of, knocking on for a kilo carcass option, because I think this absolutely knocks sort of all-round performance in intermediate conditions out of the park compared to Wicked Will, which again, we'll go into later. Where's my Nobby, Nick? Nicky, come here. All right, here's Nobby. I mean, this is kind of the next step up in terms of where you're going for faster, grippier winter riding. You can see big difference. So I think if you could get, I think this is a super trail. Yeah, this is a super trail, soft compound Nobby Nick. I think if you could get this version in that tyre, tread pattern to be specific, I think that would be absolutely awesome. But to be honest, that's a bit of a call out, because Nobby. Sorry, put that down. Stop getting distracted, Kez. Because Rocket Ron already comes in an amazing range of sizes. It literally starts at 16-inch, then there's 20-inch options, 24-inch options, 26-inch options. Huge amount of options already in this tyre. So it's a bit rich asking for more options, but there you go. I'm a spoilt little brat, it turns out, when it comes to tyres. So that's what I think of it. Genuinely think if you can, and obviously, there are lighter tyres as well. 750 grams is pretty heavy. You go a lot lighter if you look at something like Specialized S-Works range, and because it's Schwalbe, it's a premium price as well. Which again, something like Specialized, you might find Specialized are knocking their tyres out super cheap at the moment. But if you can afford it, I think this is the best kind of winter speed tyre, whether you want to run it on the front for maximum speed or run it on the back with a chunkier tyre up front, which is probably what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the winter with that Nobby Nick. And we'll come back with the full feedback on that. But that's what I think of it, riding it in the UK and testing it back to back with a bunch of other tyres. But what's your experience with this tyre and Schwalbe tyres in general? And what's your favourite? And I know someone will say, how does it compare to a Vittoria Barzo? And to be honest, I can't say at the moment. I've not ridden that Barzo in a while. I always thought it was a little bit sketchy because it's quite hard compound, and the carcass on the Vittoria tyres of that generation I find a bit pingy and a bit worrying once you start dropping to lower pressures. So I'm hoping there's a Barzo race formulation on the way, because if that puts that tread compound into the same space as the recent Mezgal, I think that could be a really, really good option for the UK, but I haven't seen it happen yet. And obviously, as soon as I hear about new carcass options, if there's more carcass options besides that transparent option that we're seeing at the races, then I'll fill you on the details as soon as Schwalbe let me know on this. Deep breath, and then say all the usual stuff I have to say, like thanks to my patrons for sponsoring the channel, thanks to That's a Cup of Tea and a Biscuit a Month if you really like what I'm doing here, and it's really appreciated. Thanks to my channel sponsors, like, click, subscribe, buy stuff off them, and hope you enjoyed this video. But as I said at the start, what's really, really great is if you guys can actually get into the comments and give your feedback on this tyre or tyres that you use like it, or just the conditions that you ride in and how they affect your tyre choices, because these tyre reviews are proving super popular. And I think a lot of that's because if you scroll down into those comments, you're getting a really, really well-rounded view now from all around the world on what tyres work where and why you think that's so. So You know, I can start this conversation off with my 28 years of testing experience, and then you can colour it in like the good classroom of eager kids you are. And then we can all leave the lesson at the end very happy and skip off home to our parents. Well, there's a troubling image to end on. But what else did you expect from watching me right to the end? But thanks for doing that, because apparently the YouTube algorithm is a big fan of you folks who stick in there. And here's a little ad-lib for you. As a reward, this is the kind of tyre that really rewards people who like to stick in there where the weather gets wet, but don't want to compromise on their rolling speed. Thanks, Schwalbe. And thanks, Rocket Ron.